Coming up today on Locked On Texas Tech, separating fact and fiction when it comes to $40 million worth of Red Raider football goodness. Next on Locked On Texas Tech.
You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Great to be with you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, always free and available on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. And thanks as always for making us your first listen. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. And right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet hits. So visit FanDuel.com today to get started. On today's episode, we're getting into the Big 12 remaining in the Brett Yormark business. We'll get down to business here in the 806 as it relates to something that's got the Matador Mob, YouTube comment section, Red Raider fans stirring as it relates to dollars, cents, and what has been allocated to this year's football effort. With the only Chris Level, I'm Casey Cowan. Chris, great to be back with you. And this is going to be a fun conversation to continue to have this offseason because it certainly signifies at least one thing in that an effort is being made. You might even call it a full court press kind of all-out effort by Texas Tech to compete in 2025 and beyond. Now, we don't know what that's going to mean for the fall just yet. We'll have to wait till it actually gets here. But enjoying the conversation so far, and something we'll get into is that Texas Tech actually being called out, listed among some of those with $40 million worth of effort for a football roster this year. That's kind of hard to figure, including some of the company that you're keeping. And I'm talking about comments made by Indiana head coach Curt Signetti that listed Texas Tech among six who he views as having a $40 million roster, while poor old Indiana can't even rub together 25 mil, according to him at least. Whole lot to process here, Chris, and I want to separate hopefully some fact from fiction. But how are you enjoying some of the copium and some of the discussion of Texas Tech near and far?
It is. People are a bit triggered. People are trying to separate fact from fiction. I think it's funny how Texas Tech keeps flying out of people's mouths when they really have no idea. That it's pure speculation. I like it that it bothers some folks. I think that, hey, look, Coach Signetti, you made it to the playoff last year, and you lived a charmed life last year. We were all told to Google you, and all you do is win and everything. And so I don't know what he feels like he is getting out of making a statement like that when he tries to. But I'll tell you, he's trying to say it's just like Jamie Pollard in yesterday's show, the Iowa State athletic director. He's trying to say, hello, I need help. Are we poor? Question mark. One, he doesn't know what Texas Tech paid anybody or these other schools. He's talking to, this is purely speculation. This is information that he has gathered from agents and that kind of industry. And it's trying to put some math together, and there's some assumptions being made. But it's I will offer this up. Would it surprise me if Texas Tech was around that number? No. Do I have any confirmation that you are around that number or higher or lower? I mean, I don't know. Again, I would just say to you, nobody on this side of it is really going to get into, and maybe Joey, maybe Big 12 Media Days this summer, Joey is asked specifically about that, to which I'm not even sure if he would get into that conversation because he's gone out of his way to tell everybody, look, I try not to get involved in that part of it, on purpose.
Yeah.
That is what James Blanchard and Cody Campbell and the Matador Club. I also find it interesting that there are so many people that throw Cody's name around and they've read about this or that. They have no idea. I saw somebody on some podcast speculate that Cody Campbell was in his 60s and he was a T. Boone Pickens type guy.
Ouch, Cody. I'd find that guy.
So
60s.
Well, I mean, it's like people need to understand the guy is really young. He played football here 20 years ago. He's done really well, but there, it's just, I don't know. I just think that the Texas Tech story is a bit all over the map nationally as it relates to this kind of subject. And
yeah,
I vacillate being between it kind of bothering me because there's some uneducation out there about it, and then thinking it's funny or I find it humorous that it's bothering some people because you're a disruptor. I mean, you have disrupted the flow of the the anonymous SEC folks. Texas Tech screwed up the market. Like, what do you mean? What is that supposed to mean? You guys were paying people under the table in the SEC for years. And so I don't know. It's just this is a fascinating topic. There has been real money spent, and keep in mind, so we're clear, any number you see about somebody's roster, that also factors in whatever money that you're giving them rev share. So that is a factored in, whether it's 15 or 20 or whatever. That is. Anytime somebody's like, hey, they got this $1 million roster or whatever, insert number here, that's factoring in how much you're giving in rev share as well. But anyway, it's been interesting because Texas Tech making a little noise, making a little news. Kirk Signetti, wasn't familiar with your game before last year. I am now. Keep my name out of your mouth.
Texas Tech not alone as far as names in his mouth. I mentioned a collection of 6. It was Ohio State, Oregon, Texas, Notre Dame, Miami, and the Red Raiders that he does mention in his plea for alms for the poor Hoosiers. And yeah, I was definitely thinking about Jamie Pollard's pitch and kind of the similar path that kind of seemed like was being taken here. But that's neither here nor there. As far as the ability to reach that kind of level, as when it comes to support and investment and all those things, that's just wild to consider as a Red Raider fan. But I was considering such things with a Matador mobster, Chris. Our guy Brent was texting about this yesterday and went back and forth a couple of times because his question was almost, okay, yeah, so what if we're guilty? Do we hang our heads about this? Is there some sort of like great shaming trying to take place? And I was just telling him, I think it's just a lot of the aforementioned copium in that someone from the don't belong here club is actually in the club, and that's us.
I think that right now, this time of year, you should feel good about it. I think that you're trying. Hey, man, Coach Signetti, we're trying to get to where you were, sir. And whatever anybody spent here, they were well within their right to do that. It is their money to do what they want to with. They have motivation behind it. There's been a process. It wasn't, wildly spending and the like, but I think there's many fans out there of other programs that are like, man, I wish we were being talked about in these circles. But the flip side is, Cowan, is this doesn't guarantee you anything, regardless of what you spent, whether it was 30, 40, 50, 38, 42, I don't know. It doesn't really matter. But you will be pointed at one way or the other as this season rolls along. See, if we were doing this, we'd have a chance to compete like they are, or you'll be pointed at as like and being laughed at, like what a waste of money. Boy, they screwed that up. I mean, it'll be one way. There will be no middle ground here, to which Texas Tech is a bit polarizing. Again, and I double down on this. Like, this isn't, Joey wasn't out raising his hand going, guys, we need this money or else, or this was all aligned. This was all very willingly, motivated money, trying to win and trying to take advantage of a set of rules that potentially are about to change. That's what this is equaled. And as we told you a few days ago, the piece of cake that we had was good. And so, sir, would you like another piece? Why, yes, I would. And bring me a glass of milk. And so they just kept going. And everybody kept going, holy cow, look what we're doing here. We can get real players, some of which are not just one-year guys. So they kept going. They kept adding. When you have a can't miss or a must go get like David Bailey roll through the portal, you stop what you're doing. You get him on campus within 48 hours, and you add to your payroll if that's the way you want to view it. Because I've seen Texas people dispute this report that they are not anywhere near that number, and they would never pay anybody over a certain dollar amount and this and that. Anyway, I just I find it humorous that it bothers some so much, but ultimately the proof will be in the pudding in the fall, and the results will be what they will be. And I just say better to love and lost than never loved before. You know what I mean? So you're swinging at it, man, and it's all about shots on goal. You're not going to score unless you shoot.
You're giving us T-shirt after T-shirt for the Locked On Texas Tech merchandise store. If we can ever get this thing off the ground, it's going to be stocked with all your favorite Chris Level signature sayings. Yeah, I'm loving the off-season tiers for now, drinking them all up. Keep them coming. That copium drip that they're on in Austin or anywhere else as it relates to Texas Tech trying to insert themselves into this conversation. I'm here for it every day of the week and twice on Sunday, and I'm sure you've seen, like I have as well, from even guys in Dockers down at the Capitol, Politico types, concern about the gulf that this era could create between the haves and have-nots. And it's so convenient that Texas Tech has just arrived just in time for this party to be shamed for creating this gulf between the haves and have-nots. Hold up. Been here about 15 minutes, guys. Maybe you want to focus it over there to those 40 acres, because I'm not quite sure that this is necessarily the example that you're looking for, but I'm sure you've seen it all over the map like I have, and I've just enjoyed the weeping and the wailing. And the other part of it is it's just the off season. This is May, guys. Hadn't even had a season worth anything yet. You may have a great chance to, like Chris said, just double over and point at us and laugh if you don't live up to it, because I know it's probably in a lot of Red Raiders' minds like it is in mine, like, oh, crap. Now we're going to be in the situation of how do we avoid the Aggie life? Champions of February, flat on the face in the fall, round after round after round after round we go. So, yeah, it's a different type of pressure, right? Something to live up to that's different, I think, that's been in place really with the history within the history of this program.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you. I don't know how this plays out. It's just like, and I was back on the David Bailey thing a second ago. Like, I heard some speculation, and it's almost become fact now.
First, today's episode brought to you by Upwork. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. And with Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and a whole lot more. Experts ready to help you take your business to the next level. Upwork gives businesses flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. Whether you need extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. Plus, it's fast and easy. You can post a job free and simply, and within a day, multiple qualified candidates are there to choose from. So visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That's UPWORK.com, Upwork.com, to connect with top talent and grow your business today.
That he's paid $2.5 million a year. You believe what you want. But I just find it funny that, but what's happened is, and this is why I think street cred and clout, like words like that, I think those are real in certain circumstances. I think it's very real. And the fact that Texas Tech has played ball at this level and played nicely, I think, and done exactly what they said they were going to do, and has the confidence of pretty much every representation group out there in the space. So much so that whenever a really good player gets in the portal, if there's any kind of question about a need being there, people link Texas Tech to it. I think that's a good thing. I think you've You can say you've bought your way into that club or you've bought your way into this or that. So it's just new money. So is it going anywhere? I don't believe so. I don't know if they're willing to. We'll see what the rules are and how everybody wants to operate going forward in time as all this stuff plays out. I just appreciate the fact that you're being included in conversations that you used to not be included in, because the portal is a new way of doing business, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's a new way of doing business, and you're trying to be really good at it. And so why would somebody be triggered by that? Well, I'll tell you why, because they would like to be good at that business as well. And I guess Coach Signetti, back to the original point, I guess they're not really good at that business. So, and I mean, geez, you got to be thinking, folks, we just went to the playoff and we can't get any help. Well, maybe you paid Darren DeVries too much, University of Indiana. Maybe you paid a Big 12 basketball coach way too much. But hey, man, you can't ride two horses with one ass. And so if you're going to pick basketball and that's where your money's going to go, then Curt Signetti is going to complain and all that stuff. But this is your choice, Indiana. Texas Tech made their choice. But guess what? They're riding two horses with one ass down here. So anyway.
Boom. And that's another T-shirt in the shop. And I may add another, because you can ride two asses on one horse. Seen that proven, depending upon, of course, the size. And as for like a compensation amount for David Bailey or any other individual, Chris, if they have a great season, a productive, impactful, bordering on or within all conference territory kind of season, I'm always taking the Charles Barkley approach. $250,000 for Cam Newton, that's a steal. So it depends on the season that they have, but that's typically sort of the direction I err when it comes to some of these things, either above or below the table. So we'll see how it plays out. But yes, we are hearing and seeing the same things, and I appreciate all the texts from the mob and the comments on YouTube and elsewhere.
It's got them stirred up now. It's got everybody. Yeah, it's got everybody feeling a certain way, and I think there's all different kinds of emotions that it has elicited from the Tech fan. Yes. But whoever thought you would have your school's name coming out of the Indiana football coach's mouth, and it would become regional / national news, and multiple content items would come away from that, and yet no one can prove anything. No one has. It's just his. And it's what I heard. I mean, but because he's a coach in a Big Ten and they went to the playoff, it gets a little more run. But anyway, hey man, appreciate it, Curt. Yeah, appreciate it.
I mean, it's nice to be thought of.
Yeah, but keep my name out of your mouth. Yeah.
Think of us, don't speak of us. We'll approach it that way. The shirts are really rolling in now. Okay, before we get out of here, Chris, I do want to talk some business as it relates to the Big 12 as a whole, because we see an extension for Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark. So conference support, conference membership, leadership, I guess feeling like Brett Yormark has done a worthwhile job to continue to invest in the Yormark business. I think I have mostly been a fan of Brett Yormark. He has tried to be an innovator. He has certainly brought some stability to the league following the departure of two blue bloods. And I think I'm mostly positive when it comes to my feeling as a fan for Brett Yormark. I do also think that some things maybe have been a little bit overblown, like consuming some of the Pac-12 leftovers, because I don't really feel like they ever had a choice. And I think those wheels were already in motion well before Yormark, kind of arrived in Big 12 territory that, the math was in for the Pac-12 and it wasn't going to hang around. But I'm 60-40, 75-25. I think he's been productive, but have we really seen, everything that maybe we thought we would when he arrived? Is kind of a general, I guess, perspective of mine when it comes to Commissioner Yormark. What's your read on him? Do you have a feel for what you think those internally within the conference that actually matter and don't just host a podcast actually read them as?
I think the leadership is generally very pleased with the job that he has done. I think he's created some stability. I think he's generated some revenue, some of which has been new. I think that he gets a lot of credit as it relates to your Pac-12 scenario. I think he gets a lot of the credit there because he got in front of the line and got a deal done with the TV folks, theoretically, potentially putting a bullet into the old Pac-12. Whether that was the train was already on the tracks, or or however you want to phrase that, he's gotten some credit for that.
Somebody had to finish it, and that probably is worth describing that way. Because
yeah. And I think that's why you kind of, the game that you were involved with, you won that game. The big news here, like, and I think he's created lots of committees and subcommittees, and really he's been out and about. He's very transparent. I think a lot of the media leaks that come out through Yahoo or ESPN or whoever it is, it's pretty clear that this is Brett Yormark wanting his words out there as it relates to the CFP, as it relates to him fighting for his league or his opinion, this or that, whatever
tournament stuff like that.
Sure, yes, all the above. But the big news here, as it relates to his extension, which was the news of the day yesterday morning, I guess it was.
First, today's episode brought to you by FanDuel, and the NBA playoffs are here, and FanDuel is giving new customers a great way to get in on all the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet hits. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to really win big. So don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today.
The big news here, as it relates to his extension, which was the news of the day yesterday morning, I guess it was, is that what you have guaranteed as a Big 12 leadership group is that he will now be in charge of maneuvering you through the next landmine, which will be trickiest. And what I mean by landmine, it's the next wave of media rights deals. It's the next wave of realignment, because something's going to happen. And maybe these are intertwined. Maybe the media rights deals and the realignment, it's all intertwined. But he is now in charge of overseeing that from a Big 12 standpoint. He's got tremendous this is what I would say about Brett Yormark. What I like about it is he's got a great relationship with your president and your athletic director and some of your regents. He includes them on conversations. Like I will tell you that your leadership group was directly involved in a lot of this. Remember this private equity conversations that were being had, and it's been reported on. Nobody's really ever shot that down, but the Texas Tech leadership group is extremely uncomfortable with it, and I don't think it'll happen just because it's expensive money that you're borrowing. And they're like, yeah, we're good, man. We don't need to be in that business. But he's leaned into people that are very smart and very good at what they do at these institutions. But I can tell you that Cody and Dusty and Kirby and President Skuvanek, those folks are directly involved in talking to him. So from a person here in Lubbock, like you are, Cowan, I think that is important to me, that he has got, you have a platform and a say-so and kind of how this thing is going to go. Not that you're running it, but he weighs into what your thought process is and why they are doing certain things. And I think that's important.
I'd love one bit of say-so if I could just offer up or float an idea, maybe to one of those gentlemen, then they can run it up the flagpole. Could we continue to play football against in-state neighbors or those we've played for 100 years consecutively? Just next time around, we're reaching a century mark. Let's not call off that series if you're still in the spot at that time. Might be cyborg Brett Yormark by that point. But that's a great point you bring up about now knowing who's going to be at the steering wheel as you get into the next bit of choppy waters or changing tides, to borrow a phrase from yesterday's episode. And I did have a bit of a question in the back of my mind. Is Yormark and his relationship with the Big 12 more of a mercenary type in the beginning, in that he comes and he rounds them up, he straightens them out, and then he's out the door to the next pursuit, which I wouldn't necessarily blame him for. And I think you could see, some variety in his past that might lead you to believe, okay, he's going to have some variety still in his future, and he still might. There's plenty of time for that, obviously. But I did kind of have a question as to whether or not you would see something change prior to the next round of whatever changes we see. And don't want to rule anything out, obviously, in this situation. But that's something to keep in mind, and that it seems like you'll have him at the reins if you do like it. And I do, for the most part, certainly. that'll be a bit of good news. And I think, the pursuit of trying to think outside the box is always a worthwhile effort, especially for a league like the Big 12, because you're really kind of a league unto yourself. And I don't mean that in a negative way, because I think competitively, really top to bottom, you ain't got to take a back seat to the ACC, but we all understand the gulf between the Big 10 and the SEC. But Chris, as we've run down and we expect again to play out in the fall, the parity and the entertainment that you've got to offer, whether that's actually good or bad for your competitive interests, I don't know. But what you've got to offer as a league is certainly unique. So I'm glad to have kind of an outside the box thinker, and you come up with some great ideas. And then there's Big 12 Mexico, but there is a brainstorming session that always follows to try to keep thinking, right? So, and I love, the thought of, like you said, a good relationship with those that we most selfishly care about, and that's the interest of Red Raiders, right?
Yeah, I mean, not everything that he's tried to pitch. I think he was tasked with being aggressive, being a disruptor, like you fancy yourself as being in some of this space now. He was tasked with, again, thinking outside the box, being aggressive, generating new revenue. And so he brings to them, hey, let's rename the league. Let's, let's add Gonzaga. Well, what about UConn? Let's go play in Mexico. Let's, and a lot of this has been talked about. A lot of this has been the old trial balloon has been floated out there, and it's gotten a lot of run. And I wonder where it came from as far as who was leaking that info. But some of it kind of just fizzles. Some of it maybe has some legs to it. But I think he is doing what he was tasked to do. I think he's done it very classy, very professionally. I think there's a trust there.
Hey, I think entertainingly, which is no little thing, because he's always willing to talk. It's not all just floated or leaked out there. Sometimes
no, it's very
right
true.
Mike.
He's transparent, and he doesn't care if he ruffles some feathers. I think he's pretty coy with what he offers up sometimes. But I mean, again, I don't think he wants to show his cards on a lot of stuff. But I think that their business is open, or we're open for business, however he said it. And as we get closer, here we are in 2025. When we are sitting here in, I don't know if it's next summer or the summer after that, there will be plenty of theories and ideas floated, and there are anyways right now even, but more realistic at that point down the road. Who's going where? What is this going to look like? Super conference, have not. I just think you're fortunate to have a guy like this with some savvy and the trust to kind of help you maneuver through these waters. Because I could see everything from Texas Tech being a part of a have, or you being in a Big 12 when you're trying to pick off some of the others that were left behind. And I mean, there's all these different options on how the Red Raiders could fall, but it's just good to have somebody like Commissioner Yormark, I think, on your side helping with the Big 12 brand in mind. So we'll see. I mean, but he's not going anywhere for the foreseeable future. And I'm glad that this, because I think that I'd be willing to bet you after this next round of movement and after this next contract expires, I'd be willing to bet you, and I could be wrong, but I'd be willing to bet you that the next contract won't come as easy to maybe the Big 12, or he may not have another contract. And what I mean by that is I think he could in some ways go, man, I tackled this. I've left it much better than I found it. Good luck to you. I'm going to go do something else. Because I think people feel like he could be a commissioner for the sport. He could go do a variety of different things, but I think that you will have gotten the best of him if he stays here till, I think, 2030 was when his contract would be up. And by then, all the latest round of chips should have fallen on the table for media rights and realignment and all those things, you would think.
And who knows what ideas we could see come to pass, or at least discuss between then and now. It circles back to shooters shooting. You got to get it out there, right? Some of them get shot back down. We're not balling in Mexico just yet. Some of them go through that maybe should have been shot down. Louis Vuitton basketball court. And then you throw in some creations of committees and subcommittees. I may put that in the cons category too as well, but nonetheless, overall positive experience so far, and hoping for more of that during the tenure of Brett Yormark. Appreciate your time as always, Chris. Enjoyed it and looking forward to the next one. So we'll see you then, my man.
I've forgotten about the handbag
Oh
court.
man,
Yeah,
traumatizes anybody right there.
And that may be here for the duration of his standing as commissioner, because I think
we're walking back the extension if that's the case.
Yeah, that's right. I think that's right. That's right. Because they replaced those courts I think once almost 10 years or something. Anyways, but it got the people talking.
Yes,
Hashtag marketing, right? That's what.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right. Okay, well, we'll talk to everybody next time. A lot of business of college sports as it relates to Texas Tech that we've been talking this week, but this is as much as part of it as anything. We'll get back to talking team and X's and O's at some point soon.
Yeah, it's like the part that makes the rest of it all possible. And for the most part, an enjoyable thing to discuss right now for a Red Raider fan, no doubt. All right. Appreciate you, Chris, and appreciate everybody for being out there. Get subscribed on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts so you never miss an episode. Thanks to the everydayers for always riding along. And a big shout out to the Matador Mob. Love to hear from you regarding 40 mil or any other subject. Hit the show notes and find a link to a free 14-day trial. That's your direct line to Chris and myself with one-on-one text sent straight to your phone. For Chris, I'm Casey. Thanks as always for the time, and we hope to see you back for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.